Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me, as always, is Mark Souza. We got a lot to talk about in the world of basketball today. Joel Embiid sounds off on what he thinks of NBA referees. We got Anthony Davis in one of his poorest performances ever as an NBA star. And also, we have a question about the Lakers and what their fate is for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. So, where should we start? We have a lot of options to go
I want to start with the guy who dropped the F-bomb. That's where I always want to start.
They all did, but we can go with the main one.
What do you mean they all did? Who all did?
I mean, everyone curses.
No, but not everybody says...
On effing referees?
Not everybody says into a microphone at the cameras where they know they're being listened to and recorded. Not everybody says the referees effing suck.
Yes, because that was only one man and one man only. Joel Embiid.
He won't be the last man to do it, I promise, but he did do it.
He's the most recent one to do it. Yes, he was in it was like no one questioned him about the refs, I don't think. Mm-hmm. Like at the end there, they just said thanks for your time, Joel, or Mr. Embiid, or thanks for your time, sir, or whatever. And then he goes, refs effing suck. I'm just saying, and then walks away. Mm-hmm. Like there was no question. It was the end of the press conference.
It was very weird. I mean, as he was walking away,
and I loved it. I was like, yes, more of this, please. Because you know what, he's gonna get fined. I think that's a foregone conclusion. But if you watch basketball as we do, and the missed calls that happen, especially with travels, and oh my God, travels.
I understand, but this sounds like, look, I like Joel Embiid. I think he's great. I think his personality is amazing for the NBA. He's one of the best entertaining, best
absolutely.
Characters. Dude,
I 100%
not only
agree.
is he a great player, like he's super talented, athletic, like he checks all the boxes in that regard.
Yeah.
But he's fun. He's funny. He engages with fans.
Yeah.
Like he's very good for the game, right?
It's hard to make him angry.
But you know what? This was a little bit of sour grapes, right? Like,
yeah. Well, every time you bash the refs, it's going to be sour grapes, but there are some points...
The timing, though. Like, if the referee made a call in the game that was the deciding factor in your win or your loss that night, I could maybe not agree with it, but I could at least get on board with your opinion or what you're saying. Like, man, it was such a close game, but really that badly missed call ruined our chances of winning. I can understand that. Would I say, yeah, you probably should have just made other plays to win the game? Probably, but I think that we both are reasonable enough to agree that we could see that happening. But they did not lose the game over a bad call last night. Yes, there were bad calls in the game. That happens in basketball. But they didn't lose based on a critical call, right? So,
well, can I defend him and why he probably said that?
Absolutely.
Because of the fact there's been a lot of times where refs blatantly miss calls. Like, it's almost like it's right in front of them. The guy's moving his pivot foot or whatever or whatnot. Travel especially is one of the main key ones that I cannot stand. That's not called. And Harden is one of those main causes of it. You know his, like, two-step he did a month ago? That was not called, and it's one of the most cringe-worthy no travels. And then Bradley Beal's no travel. Like, those are the main calls that really dictate games and dictate the pace of games, in my opinion, because if you're not calling those type of fouls or those type of calls where it's the little things, you're not going to hit the big things. And that's what I think he's talking about is they're missing a lot of calls, not just calling bad ones. They're just missing a lot. And the refs just are just, and then when they get called out on it, you get a tech for it. It's just like it's a lose-lose situation for the players. I think that's what he's trying to impose.
Yeah, I get it. Man, it's funny though. I mean, we're talking about it. I certainly was entertained. It was interesting because I saw that he had said it before I saw the video of him doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see the video, I'm like, okay, well, he's talking about the mistakes that he made. He's talking about, they need to get better as a team. He's saying all the normal stuff. There was nothing
about referees.
And then he's getting up. By the way, these refs suck. Like that.
It literally came out of nowhere. But
that was great.
But I was like, oh, okay. I was like, yes, good on him, because refs sometimes need to be put in their place. That's my personal opinion. And I think umpires in baseball are way worse, because when they mess something up, they are so in denial about it, it's actually absurd. Mm-hmm. NBA refs are like that too, to an extent, but I think technical fouls and being thrown out of the game are like a lot of the same like things, and where you're either wrong and the ump knows he's wrong, or the ref knows he's wrong and it gives him a tech because he's getting called out on it or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. But regardless, I think there's points in where when refs change the outcome of a game based on a call, that steals from the experience of watching the game.
Right, but we know it happens. Like, it's human.
I know. I'm not giving them every single mistake. It's not always going to be because they're ignorant or whatnot. But there are some calls when you look at it going like, really? Like, how can you miss
Something
that?
tells me that if they didn't lose to the Celtics last night, he's probably not as frustrated. Now, let's move into that talk. The Celtics won 112-109. The Celtics are 10-2 against Philadelphia since the start of last season. And that record includes the Celtics' 4-1 series victory in the Eastern Conference semis last season. And it's 3-0 this year against the Sixers, who we know the Sixers. Embiid himself at the beginning of the season talked about how important it was to beat the Celtics. Early on in the season, they went into, the TD Ameritrade Garden, is that what they call it?
TD Garden?
Yeah. They went in there earlier and they lost, but Embiid said going into that game how important it was to get that off their back, get that hump off their back. They haven't gotten that off their back. They are now 0-3 this year against the Celtics. The Celtics won without Kyrie Irving. This is the fifth time of the last 7 losses the Sixers have faced against the Celtics where Kyrie didn't play. So they're getting beat with or without Kyrie on the opposition. What do you say if you're the Sixers? Is this a total, mental thing now with them? Can this affect them for the rest of the season, knowing that they can't get over this hurdle?
To be completely honest, I think they want them in the first round of the playoffs more than anything else now. They need to beat them in order to feel like they can win a championship now. You know what I mean? I feel like they want them to be 4th or 5th, and they want Boston to be 4th or 5th to meet them in the playoffs. They want this matchup more than anything to prove they can not only beat them, but beat them in a series and win a championship. I think that's what it's coming down to, and I think that's going to be the key motivation for the 76ers this entire season, beating Boston in the playoffs. That's going to be their motivation through the entire season.
Yeah, you know what? Right now, if the playoffs ended today, the Celtics and the Sixers would be your first-round matchup at the 4 and the 5 in the East, with the Celtics getting home court. You know why? Because they hold the tiebreaker, because they've won 3 out of 3. If these two teams play in the playoffs, can the Sixers get by the Boston Celtics?
I don't know.
We're talking about this team just a couple days ago that, they beat the Warriors. They did this. They did that. This team could be they crushed the Lakers the other day. This team could be the team to beat in the East, right, Jeff? We talked about how they could be the team to beat in the East.
They arguably won the trade deadline. I believe they won the trade deadline if you had to have a winner and a loser.
Getting Tobias Harris was huge.
And they have probably the best starting 5 in the behind the Warriors, probably the entire NBA.
Yeah, behind the Warriors, you could definitely argue that.
And with this, I have to say, this is definitely something that's going to bother them throughout the entire season if they don't meet the Celtics in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I think they need this more than most people want to admit.
The crazy thing is Al Horford, who's definitely gotten, he's gotten older. He's not the same player as he has. He always plays Embiid really well. 23, 8, and 5, and 4 steals last night for Horford. He won that battle. I don't know what it is.
You think he plays to the level of the player he's playing
I think
against?
he just gets up for that game. I think Horford...
Why can't he do that for every game, though?
Maybe because he's older. I don't know. Like, maybe he can't get up for it every game. But against Embiid, which is crazy because Embiid is a physical specimen.
Right.
He's able to just play some of the best basketball. Like, and every time I think, like, man, Horford, he's getting a little long in the tooth. You know, like, he's not the same guy. Whenever these teams play, I always feel like he's the difference. Like, I always feel like, man, what a game from Al Horford. And again, he just wins that matchup. Like, him just tying that matchup is a win for his team, right?
Right.
And he just is able to give Embiid problems. So,
Embiid wants.
is,
I think Embiid wants to beat Horford as much as he wants to beat the Celtics themselves. You know what I mean? I think
isn't it nuts though that they can't get past the Celtics, but yet they still might be the best team in the East, but they might lose in the first round of the playoffs because they potentially will be matched up against Boston.
I think the 76ers want this matchup badly.
You think they do? You don't think they want to avoid the Celtics in the playoffs? You think they want that matchup?
Yeah, I think they do.
But don't you think they'd rather just get to like the 3 spot and then play like the Nets in round 1?
Kind of, but I think the goal is to beat the Celtics. I don't. Maybe NBA Finals is always the goal,
but isn't their goal to get to the finals? Like I know the Celtics are definitely like on their like in their crosshairs, I guess you could say, but like you don't want to like your goal shouldn't be we want to play the Celtics. Like we want to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
If we play the Celtics, that would be cool. But don't you just kind of want to get the easiest opponent possible at first? At least like to get the first series under your belt.
But it isn't also the case if you beat the toughest team first, it's easier down the road. Mm-hmm. Regardless, you're going to have to face a very talented team.
Well, but the difference between like the Celtics and the Nets could be pretty big.
Absolutely, but I feel like you're going to have to face a team like the Celtics later on, even
Sure.
if you do beat the Nets.
But it'd be easier to maybe your first round you play an easier team, you have an easier series, and then you play 2 difficult series instead of playing difficult, and then you play the Warriors. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I see what you're saying, and I understand the revenge factor. But I don't know if that's what you want in the first round. In the Eastern Conference Finals, that'd be awesome, right? Like, if you got to face the team that you couldn't get past, and it was 2 go to the finals, I think that'd be ideal. I can
also see that as well. But we really don't. We just don't. Well, I think the outcome is going to be these teams. I think the Pacers, how good they're playing right now, I think they're going to stay where they are. And it's either going to be 4th or 5th, regardless of Celtics and whoever gets home court advantage. It's going to be Celtics, Sixers in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I think this is all going to go down.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, we should move on. But there's other games that happened last night. We got to talk about the Lakers. I mean, look, they lose to the Hawks. It's a game, when you look at the Lakers' schedule, very tough schedule the rest of the season. No real easy wins. But Atlanta, even though it's on the road, you got to feel like that's a game the Lakers needed to win. They lose last night. The Hawks, I don't even think they played relatively great basketball. The fourth quarter was one of the ugliest quarters of basketball I've seen in the NBA this season. Both teams could not score. Like it was like watching paint dry. You know, these two teams.
You really didn't like this fourth quarter, did you?
Well, I mean,
understandable. It was extremely boring.
The Lakers outscored the Hawks in the fourth quarter 18-17. There was a combined 18 total points with 3 minutes left in the game. There was 35 total points in a fourth quarter combined in the NBA, Jeff. Imagine if you saw a first quarter that was 18-17 after 1. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I would be in the sense of, oh, dear God, can I change the channel, please? Please let me change the channel. You're not letting me change the channel. Why am I tied up? Why am I here? I'll tell you everything you know.
In contrast, there was at least 61 points scored by both teams in every quarter prior to the 35 that was put up in the fourth quarter. Just pathetic shooting all the way around. But the Lakers lose, and that's important because the Lakers are now 28-29. The Lakers are now under 500. This has never happened in the LeBron James history of basketball. The LeBron James history of basketball, he has never been
the LeBron Basketball Association.
He has never been this far into a season with a losing record. It has not happened before.
Yes.
And yet it is happening now. They enter the All-Star
I'm
break.
going to say this right now.
No, you're not. Hold on. The Lakers
Rude.
are 28 and 29 entering the All-Star break. After the game, James talked about the team needing to decompress. An unnamed player said, "Take a look around." It's like players don't care about this loss. Obviously, there's still some turmoil about the botched trade for Anthony Davis, which I'm pretty sure we heard about everybody except for LeBron James being included in a potential deal.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much everybody with a contract on the Lakers, I think, was mentioned as a possible trade for Anthony Davis. So, I mean, what does this team do from here? They have some tough games coming up. Obviously, they get the All-Star break. It probably couldn't come at a better time for them. But you know what they get after they get the All-Star break? They get the Rockets. They get James Harden. So, will it be easier after the break?
No.
They do get the Pelicans, the Grizzlies, and the Pelicans after that game with the Rockets.
Huh.
So it does open up a
Do you think
little
Anthony
bit.
Davis try to sneak into the Lakers' locker and try to leave off with them?
But let me tell you what they have coming up in March. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
The Milwaukee Bucks.
Loss. I'm going to call it.
Phoenix Suns.
Okay, win.
Clippers.
Close game.
Nuggets.
Lose.
Celtics.
Give me lose.
Bulls.
Win.
Raptors.
Lose.
Pistons.
Win.
Knicks.
Win.
Bucks.
Lose.
Nets.
I'm going to say lose.
Kings.
Lose.
Wizards.
Win.
Jazz.
I'm going to say win.
Hornets. The Jazz
Win.
are on the road. I don't know. That one's questionable. But I see. They might get one or two.
Yeah,
that you don't expect.
that's why
Hornets.
Win.
And then the Pelicans.
Win. That's like 500.
Yeah, and then you're at the end of the season. You have April. You have 5 games in April, and you know who they end the end of the season with?
Warriors.
This is a thing, man. These are the last 5 games of the season for the Lakers. Are you ready? Buckle up. I'm dead
Hold
serious.
on, let me buckle up. Okay.
At Thunder.
That sucks. Lose.
Home against the Warriors.
Lose.
At the Clippers, but that's kind of an asterisk because that's home too.
I'm going to say that one's going to be a close game, though. Clippers aren't easy.
They host the Jazz and the Blazers, who will be fighting for playoff positioning in these games.
I think Jazz win. They beat the Blazers.
Let's be honest. We have to be honest. In the month of March and the rest of February, the Lakers are going to need to beat 3 or 4 games over 500. They just have to be in the next month and a half.
It's a possibility they don't make the playoffs, dude.
It's possible. The team that they're chasing, the Kings, also have a really tough schedule the rest of the way. So but
they do have a couple of games ahead of them. That's the thing.
They do.
That's crucial.
And the teams only play each other one more time.
So I think whoever wins that, maybe not, but
it could be a big game. It will be
that
in LA.
Lakers-Kings game. Well, the thing is, it's not really a home court advantage in per se because of the fact they're so close to each other. So it's not really like a long road trip for the Kings. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So when two California teams play each other, I don't see one as the advantage over the other because of the fact they have to go so short.
Well,
distance.
I mean, but the home arena.
Oh,
helps.
absolutely. But I'm like usually,
you know how Sacramento loud it can get, how loud
yeah,
Staples Center can get at times.
I'm just mainly pointing the point of also the traveling is also the biggest concern when it comes to home away games, and that's not going to be a concern in these games. So it's all going to come down to how this is all. This is going to go down very interestingly, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm. It is. I am concerned about the psyche of the team, though. We know that they're a young team, the Lakers. They do have some older players.
They mentally don't look like they're all there, huh?
They do have some older veterans, but there's a nucleus of young players on this team, and I don't know. I wonder if LeBron's growing stale amongst the younger players in the NBA.
Do you think the gutting of the team, the trade offer they had, is a big factor in this?
Mm-hmm.
Like the possible complete gutting of the team was.
I mean, yeah, I think there's a rift. I think the cohesion is thrown off a little bit, absolutely. But I also think look, I don't want this botched trade to distract everybody from the fact, in my opinion, before the season started, that the The Lakers were just not a very well-constructed team. Like, they were overrated from the beginning. They didn't have enough shooting. We knew that. Yet a lot of us closed our eyes and said, no, they're going to be the team that maybe doesn't beat the Warriors, but at least gives them a shot, like gives them a game, right?
True.
There's no way this team's going to beat the Warriors in 7 games. And they're on the verge of not making the playoffs. Like, not only are they not close to the Warriors, they have a legit chance of not making the playoffs. I fully expect them to make the playoffs. Full disclaimer. I just don't see a LeBron James basketball team missing the playoffs in the NBA. I don't. I don't care how good the conference is. I just don't. Could they miss it? Absolutely. Would I be shocked? Probably. I'd be pretty shocked, I'd say. But it wouldn't be the craziest thing that ever happened in sports. Yeah. But they're not close to the Warriors. And a lot of people, I think, just got on this hype train way too hard. This team did not have the shooting at first. They haven't added the shooting.
You can even say they still don't have the shooting.
Yeah, they have not.
So there's still a lot to be desired in this because they have a long ways to go, in my opinion. I can see them not making the playoffs, and honestly, I think it's more of a good chance than people realize.
Yeah.
I understand they can still make the playoffs because LeBron James is once-in-a-lifetime talent. I get that.
And the Kings are the team that they're chasing right now in 8th. I mean, the Clippers are ahead of the Lakers technically, but I think we all expect the Clippers to keep going down as their focus is on next year.
But we really don't know. They
they're playing hard, but we don't. They gave their best player. Like, come on, like we got to be honest. Like, yes, the Clippers are still. They're going to be
a contender next year for sure if they get one of those key signings like they're planning on getting, because they can get 2 max contracts, correct?
Yes.
So they can easily get a Kawhi. I think Kawhi is almost a done deal, it feels like. Is that okay to say?
Mm-hmm.
And a possible, I won't say Durant because it looks like he's bound for New York. But if I said that to him, he would get offended, so I'm sorry. But for the second max contract, who do you see for the Clippers as a second max contract to make them? Because I don't think just Kawhi.
I don't know. I know we'll talk about that more as we get closer, but for the Lakers, look, the team that they're chasing right now is Sacramento, and a lot of people feel like the Kings will probably fall off, and they might. They're a young team, but, they're excited. Like, that team is really, really, like...
And with the addition of Harrison Barnes, they only got better,
and
honestly.
That team, I don't know if they're better than the Lakers because LeBron's on the Lakers, but that team... The chemistry seems to be there, so they're not going to be an easy out, is what I'm saying.
If you're LeVar Ball, you think that even without, if Lonzo's not there, they're just dead in the water regardless. So,
yeah. Anyways, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple other games that happened last night, plus the drama still with Anthony Davis, and we'll talk about that when we return.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. Finishing up our talks for the day, we just finished talking about LeBron James and his issues in the world of, in the world of the Lakers. But I think, speaking of the Lakers, they didn't get a big trade in Anthony Davis, But Anthony Davis, after all this trade deadline debacle, he had a pretty good game the first one with over 30 points and 9 rebounds. He had a great game there. Then he had his most recent game. 3 points.
Yep. Yeah, and I'll let you talk about it because when I get to talk about it, I'm going to
You get angry. Yeah, you're going to get a little angry, and I understand.
Yeah, go ahead and lay it out. What happened?
He just had 3 points. He played.
What was the score of that game?
I think the Pelicans had 88 total points.
They lost by 30 to the Magic at home.
Yes. And if I remember correctly, they did have only
Got to be one
points.
of the worst losses in the NBA this season.
It was 118-88. And with only 3 points and 6 rebounds for Anthony Davis, arguably the best player in the NBA, what we you can make the argument at least.
Yeah.
This makes a big problem when it comes down to like what the aftermath will be for the Pelicans, because Anthony Davis after this game, people are not liking this, and I think this is ending a little more bitter than most people expected. And that it was going to end bitter regardless, but this is ending more bitter than people realize.
Anthony Davis said after the game that the Pelicans were not interested in playing. That may be true. But Anthony Davis wasn't interested in playing, first and foremost.
There wasn't a lot of competitive drive there at all in the slightest.
Now, we know what's going on. We know the Pelicans are tanking. We know Anthony Davis will be traded this summer. However, the Pelicans were told by the NBA they can't just sit Anthony Davis the rest of the season. Because the NBA doesn't want one of their faces of the league sitting on the bench.
Understandably so.
In the better part of his career, his younger days of his career. Now, I get that. But if he's going to come out there and put up 3 points and 6 rebounds in 25 minutes, I say the NBA should let the Pelicans sit him because that is an embarrassment to him. That's actually stealing people's money. That's actually stealing the hard-earned money of those Pelican fans who come out to support Anthony Davis. If he doesn't want to play, send him home. And the NBA shouldn't be involved and tell them otherwise because that is embarrassing. Jeff, not only did he score 3 points on 1 of 9 shooting, did you see what his counterpart did to him? The opposing center for the Orlando Magic?
Please tell me, enlighten me.
Nikola Vucevic, he played a total of 3 more minutes than Anthony Davis, 27 minutes. You know what his numbers were? 25 points and 17 rebounds against Anthony Davis.
Yikes. Is that how you want to react?
Is Nikola Vucevic better than Anthony Davis?
Probably not.
Safe to say he's not, yeah.
You can make the argument. I'm kidding. There's absolutely no way.
I was like, for like a split second, I was like, this guy.
Did you think I was serious?
I liked what you did there. I liked it. 25-17, and he threw in 3 assists where Davis didn't throw in any. Look, if Anthony Davis doesn't want to play, don't let him play. Send him home. But for him to say we weren't interested, why don't you just say first and foremost, look, I want to leave, and I want to preserve my body. And I don't think anybody's going to get mad about that.
I want to preserve my eyebrow.
I think the Pelicans would actually be happy with that because they would know, hey, he's not playing and he's not going to get hurt, so we can trade him for full value. I think he's an embarrassment, what he did last night. That is very unprofessional. That is extremely unprofessional. If you get paid millions of dollars to play a sport, I don't care if you're happy or not. You should at least put in effort. I'm not saying you need to, die for every loose ball, but you can't let a guy who's definitely not near your talent level destroy you.
Maybe he's better than we all think.
25-17.
Maybe he's supposed.
Vucevic, you're talking about?
Yeah. Do you remember in Space Jam where they took the talent from the players? I think Vucevic took the talent from Anthony Davis.
I mean, if you looked at last night's game, you would assume that was true. So otherwise,
I want to see a Monstars team in the NBA. Damn it.
Anyways, they got 25 games left. I am very interested in seeing how he responds because he's definitely going to be criticized. He should be criticized. Anyways,
oh yeah.
Let's talk about the Golden State Warriors. They won again. 16 out of 17.
This is news to me. They won a game?
They defeat the Jazz for their 16th out of 17. Remember the other day, like 2 weeks ago, when they lost to the Sixers, everyone was like, oh, man, the Warriors, what they lost to the Sixers at home? What happened? Well, it was a big old nothing burger, apparently.
Big old nothing burger?
Yeah.
Clever.
Curry.
It's from in and out because it was in there and then it was out.
Curry heated up during that game. He was feeling himself at the end. The Warriors come back in the fourth quarter to win. They improved to 41-15. The Jazz are 32-25, sitting in seventh right now. The Warriors are just looking good, right? I mean, DeMarcus Cousins looks good. Durant, Curry, they're just winning games. They didn't play their best last night. They still won. What can you say, right?
Yeah, true. It's, I mean, it's the Warriors. The sky is blue, the grass is green, and the Warriors are good at basketball.
The Jazz are in 6 right now. They're one game ahead of – they're actually tied with San Antonio, but they're ahead in tiebreaker. They're also 1.5 games ahead of Sacramento right now. I think the Jazz still might be in the top 4 when it's all said and done. They're only a game and a half behind 4th place, and the Jazz have a really easy schedule. They might have the easiest schedule left in the NBA this year. So be on the lookout for them.
True, but who are we kidding? The Warriors are going to win the championship. Why bother?
Yes, I think that's been apparent for even before they signed DeMarcus Cousins. I think that was apparent. Anyways,
I just depressed myself because the best thing about sports is the unpredictability. No, any team can win at any time.
Yeah,
but when we know who's going to win the NBA championship, like 99% sure, well, why watch?
The Spurs, they remain in the playoffs. What they win last night,
they are resilient.
They
by the way,
squeak by Memphis. They get a 108-107 win. Jaren Jackson Jr., the impressive rookie, had a chance to tie the game with a second left. He had 2 free throws down 2. Misses first one. Makes the second one. They lose.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He wasn't trying to make the second one after missing the first.
I've never seen someone try to miss a shot, and yet it goes in.
It happens every once in a while, right?
Not like that.
Well, because they have to hit the rim.
I know they have to hit the rim, but, like, you hit the front of the rim.
Yeah, I get that, but you're trying to do it strategically, right?
It's so easy to miss. I'm sorry.
You're not trying to, but there's only 1 second, so it's not like he could have like rocketed it off the front of the iron. Like he had to be like a tip in, or something really close.
Mm-hmm.
But the Grizzlies lose. The Spurs win. The Spurs are sitting in 7th at the moment, just in front of Sacramento, tied with Utah. Are the Spurs a playoff team?
If they hold on like this, then maybe.
They're 22-7 at home, which is a really good record.
That's incredible. I can see them. I think, you know what? I'm saying yes. They're
only 11-19 on the road, though. That's easily the worst road record of any team in the Western Conference playoff picture. That's one thing that's concerning.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers are the next worst team on the road in the West.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We should go to a break. When we come back, let's talk about the Denver Nuggets a little bit. They have a player returning to the lineup, possibly, and also how bright does their future look? We'll talk about that. Plus, Duke basketball. As we approach March and we get closer to March Madness, Duke, obviously, the toast of the town in college basketball. They did something impressive last night. We'll talk about it when we return.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. Finishing up our day, Duke had possibly the best comeback in recent memory in the history of college basketball.
Really?
Like, I think it's the biggest second-half comeback in Coach K's career.
Is it? That sounds right. It's a 23-point comeback. They win against Louisville.
Man,
possible.
I saw some people tweeting
23 points is a lot in college.
I saw some people tweeting that it was like, oh, it's over, I'm going to bed. I saw that.
They were down 23 in the second half of that game. They won 71-69. Cam Reddish tied the game with 1:28 left, and then he hit the go-ahead free throws with 14 seconds left. Blue Devils survive a last-second shot. They win 71-69. A big win for Duke to come back. Obviously for Louisville, devastating. They were right there. They had a chance to improve on their ranking, 16 in the country. So even if Duke would have lost, it wouldn't have been to a bad opponent or anything like that. But, they're Duke. We expect them to win every game. In fact, we didn't even expect them to lose 2. They've already lost 2. We were surprised both times. Did Duke need this kind of win, though? Did they? I know they're talented. I know they have the best players. But did they need this type of adversity to get past, maybe to, as they head into March, maybe they'll be behind big in one of these, round of 16 or a Sweet 16 or Elite 8 games, and maybe they're down and maybe this game will give them the confidence to be able to come back from something like that?
See, that's always a tough question just based off, like, one game, But, I still see them as a serious contender. I don't see it much as I know it's such a step back, but I still see them in the tournament.
If I'm reading this correctly, the Cardinals did not score in the last 9 minutes and 54 seconds of the game.
Yes, I know they're not looking too good at the moment, but
they were good. They were good. I mean, they were the ranked 16 coming in. But I'm just saying, did Duke really shut a team out for 10 minutes of a basketball game?
They have some good darn players over there.
I get that, but it's basketball. That's the thing. You could have the greatest defense in the world, and people are just hitting shots. It's basketball, right? Like a screen, you're gonna get open shots.
But they arguably have the greatest college player in recent memory.
Right. Plus 2 others that are arguably the best in the class if they were in a different year, right? So I just find that phenomenal. The last 9:54, Duke was 9 of 13 and shut the Cardinals down.
Mm-hmm.
Zion had 27 and 12. Wow.
Yeah, that just shows how good Duke is, huh?
Mm-hmm. So Duke,
is Zion good as advertised? You think? Is he gonna be? Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's the number
Didn't
1
even let
pick.
me finish that.
Yeah.
Oh, I see him as number 1 pick. But let's answer this question: is he going to be this good when it comes to the NBA?
He's the best prospect since LeBron.
Okay, I think the same way.
Anthony Davis is up there as touted, highly touted,
Okay.
but I still think LeBron was a little bit. I still think Zion's a little bit more touted than Anthony Davis.
I see that as well. But let me ask you a cool question: if you are if you know who gets the first overall pick, let's say that
The Knicks,
let's say the Knicks get the first overall pick.
they will because of conspiracies, right?
What are you going to try everything you can to trade for that number 1 unprotected pick? If you're like a team, like any team for that matter, are you going to at least try to talk to them about a trade?
If I'm the Pelicans, I'm offering Anthony Davis for that number 1 pick.
Didn't even really think of that. But if you're any team, are you at least gonna call and say, hey, can we offer anything, legitimately anything for that number 1 pick? Would it hurt to call?
Anything. There's a lot of players that won't be traded for Zion Williamson. There's not going to be too many teams that really have enough to offer the Knicks. Plus, look, man, it's a superstar league. Zion Williamson has the potential to be the NBA's next big deal, the next LeBron James. They're not trading him unless it's Anthony Davis plus other stuff. That, legitimately, it's going to take one of the best players in the NBA, plus maybe even more for them to trade Zion.
Okay. I was just wondering what you thought about it, because I would at least call and just try to talk to him, saying, what Can we work
it's
something?
nice to try and talk. I mean,
what's the harm in giving them a call? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a phone. You could talk to people on it. It's not like they can come and attack you.
This is true.
This is true. Okay, we're moving on. There was something else we wanted to discuss besides Duke.
Yes. I want to talk about the Denver Nuggets.
That's right. You want to talk about the Nuggets. The NUGGETSDWXYZ.
Isaiah Thomas may be returning tonight against Sacramento.
Right. He's on that team.
Isaiah Thomas, yes. I know a lot of people forgot about him because of his injuries and unfortunate injury past here in the last couple of years, but he could return. We don't even know if the Nuggets are as good as they can be. What if Isaiah Thomas can add anything to this team? Could Isaiah Thomas to this team give them any sort of boost against a team like the Warriors in a 7-game series?
If he plays like he played in Boston, then yes. But if he plays like he played in Cleveland, then no. Oh, and then L.A. I forgot he was in L.A. Like, he turned into be a crucial piece of a puzzle.
He could be so good for them off the bench.
That's what I meant. He was such a good piece of the puzzle, and now all of a sudden
I'm rooting for him.
He's a trade piece.
Are you rooting for him?
I'm totally rooting for him. I'm totally rooting for him because he became an icon in Boston.
He's a fun player to watch play basketball because he's like an everyman, right? Like,
yeah.
He's one of those players you're like, dude, he's my size. Or like, dude, he should not be there, but he's killing it. You know?
But the thing is with that is like Boston, he was loved in Boston. He was supposed to be the guy in Boston. And then all of a sudden he turned into just a random trade piece like a Nistauskas. Like, that's not fair. And I think he deserves this opportunity. And I think he can shine in Denver. Maybe he's the piece they need to win a championship. Mm-hmm. They're still second. They're still a great team. They can only get better.
Yeah.
I know the Warriors, blah, 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 blah. But don't discredit Denver.
Denver, man, this is a really good team. There's a lot of balance in this team.
We did not say this at the beginning
Isaiah
of the season,
Thomas could be an X factor. If he can get to a level that's like a six-man, like Jamal Crawford, how Jamal Crawford is, like a scorer off the bench. I'm not saying they can beat the Warriors, but like, what's the Warriors' weakness? They have one weakness, and that's their bench. Like, that's their only weakness.
I was going to say their bench.
So, if the Nuggets or another team can do damage control with the first unit and then really put a lot of damage on the Warriors with the second unit, it's kind of an equalizer. Not the same, I get it. Like, we are wishful thinking somewhat here, but I feel like if you're going to beat the Warriors, it kind of has to be like that, right? Like, it has to be a full-on team effort. Like, it has to be 1 through 12. Yeah, maybe your starting five gets beat by their starting five, but you put up a good fight, and then your bench mob comes in and then really
Who's
makes
even
up.
on the Warriors bench? I can't even name.
Iguodala is still there. Livingston is still there. But after that,
Iguodala and Livingston's okay.
You got Jonas Jerebko.
Iguodala could be like a great six-man. He's probably one of the best six-men in the league, arguably. Then no one else.
Mm-hmm.
They are so top-heavy that it might affect them, but I don't think it'll affect them in the playoffs. I think some of the losses come from the fact they didn't have a bench.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways.
Well, who are we kidding? They're winning. What's the point?
I want to talk about. I still want to talk about how good the Nuggets are set up, though.
Oh, I love the Nuggets.
They might get Isaiah Thomas back today. They might get him back after the All-Star break. Regardless, they're going to get him. But do not forget, and I think a lot of people have forgotten, Michael Porter Jr. was drafted by the Nuggets. He fell really far in the draft because of his injury history. I don't know if you remember this, Jeff. Michael Porter Jr. is being talked about as being maybe the number 2, number 3, number 4 pick in the draft. I know the Kings were talking about him. I know the Mavericks, a lot of teams. Michael Porter Jr. was and still is a big-time prospect, but he had a back injury that limited him to like 1 or 2 college games. Like, he barely played in college. So people have forgotten about him because he hasn't played a lot of basketball in the last 2 years. If this kid can be an elite player for them, can you imagine what they have built already? Plus maybe an Isaiah Thomas, maybe Michael Porter Jr. You know, the Nuggets have not even ruled out that he won't play this year. They say that they're not ruling that out. But how good is this team set up for next year and beyond, even if he doesn't play this year?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. How do we go on from this? That's the thing with this kind of thing. You can say what if, but we really don't know until we see it. Mm-hmm. I know that's so generic, but it's like you can never predict the future. Did everyone said, like, when Durant was a free agent, did everyone say, oh, he's destined to go to the Warriors? I think some people said Warriors, but some people were like, oh, he can go here or he can go here. So it's not written in stone until, well, it's written in stone.
Yeah. I like what this Nuggets team has done. Quietly, I think they've become one of the better franchises in the NBA in terms of building their team. Michael Malone is a very good coach. He might win Coach of the Year. Probably well-deserved if he does.
If he doesn't, I'll kind of be angry.
Jokic has been a great player. Jokic has quietly been one of the best 5 or 6 players in the NBA.
Would you put him in the most improved category? Or no? Was he, like, he was always this good, but, like, not looked at as highly, you know what I mean?
That's actually a fair question. I don't know. Let me pull up his stats real quick because I think he's definitely improved, but a lot of times this is an argument based on numbers, right? Like, it's usually so.
But from
his numbers his rebounding numbers are the same. His assists have gone up 1.5. His points have gone up 2 points. So he's averaging 20, 11, and 8. 20, 11, and 8. That's what your center is averaging for the Nuggets. Up from 19, 11, and 7, or 6.
So he does have a case of being the most improved player.
Yeah, but usually there's more of a gap, right? Like, I don't think he does, unfortunately. I do think he should get some votes for MVP, but he won't win it.
That's why I say most improved, because I don't think he's getting MVP just because everyone else is doing so well, like Paul George and Giannis and others. So what I say to that is just like he deserves some award. That's what I'm implying here, you know?
Yeah, he'll probably get NBA All-First Team.
Oh, 100%.
He'll be the center on that team over a guy like Anthony Davis.
Would Giannis be the power forward then?
Yeah, probably. Giannis and then Paul George. It's going to be some different people on all NBA first team this year. You're probably not going to see LeBron. You're not going to see Anthony Davis. There's going to be some new faces on there.
Imagine if you... Okay, so I'm going to guess right here. Steph Curry at the 1, Harden at the 2, Paul George at the 3, Giannis at the 4, Jokic at the 5.
No Durant and no LeBron, I think.
But that sounds like the right 5, though, correct?
At least, yeah. I would say as of today, that sounds like the right 5, yeah.
How good would that team be? I know
it is crazy, though, to see those different names. Like, usually you have Durant, LeBron, and Anthony Davis.
If we don't get a new team winning a championship, I love new players coming alive.
Oh, yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Yeah, so, yeah, that would be... that would definitely be interesting. And the more that I think about it, it is kind of crazy to see the difference from the years prior. So what's on the slate for tonight? Well, the Kings will go to Denver.
Oh, speaking of Denver, yeah, good point.
Yeah,
good
we're
segue.
just talking about that. So the Kings, which will be interesting because if Isaiah Thomas plays, it'll be against his former original team, the team that picked him with the last pick in the draft his year. Also, the Bucks and the Pacers. Milwaukee going to Indiana. That's a good game, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Pacers are on a winning streak again.
The 76ers will try and rebound from last night, and they'll play the Knicks. The Pistons are at...
Do you think the refs will be out to get them?
That could be interesting. The Pistons are at Boston.
Isaiah, he officially returns tonight.
Official?
Yeah.
Nice. Rockets are at T-Wolves.
So that is definitely a game to watch tonight.
The Warriors are at Portland on a back-to-back for Golden State, and the Clippers host the Phoenix Suns.
Isaiah Thomas has been gone for 11 months. How insane is that?
So we will, when we see you on Friday, we'll recap tonight's action plus the latest in the NBA. But thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you all for joining us. Please tune us in on Friday, like you said. If you want to tune us in on another channel, other podcasts, sports is tomorrow as well. And as always, I'm Jeff Malinoff, and that is Mark Souza. And we'll see you next time. Have a good day, everybody.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.